What's up? We're back. Welcome to Valley Vision. I'm Abby Alonzo, Joe Mitchell. We took a little bit of a break. Last week was super hectic with the holiday. We had a lot of content to get out. We did get y'all that vlog. That Grace Kelly vlog went crazy. People loved it. Grace loved it. Grace is going to be in and out of Valley Vision from now on. I know she was super interested in how else she can continue to make content with us. So we're working on that to keep her around. And we're definitely going to come up with some cool ideas to make sure that she's able to continue to make content with us, because it was super fun to have her host the game day vlog, to have her ask people what they thought of Brian Kelly, knowing that they don't know that she was his daughter. We got some really good content. But yes, we missed all last week. We are back today. We will be back on normal schedule today, Thursday, Friday, shows all week, as well as that vlog coming out on Wednesday. But today's show, I'm super pumped about. Why? Because we've been getting a lot more guests in here on the Purple Couch, but today's guest is a little bit different. He is not able to come in shop, but we do have him on the stream. It is Mr. Nick Carparelli, the executive director of bowl season, which is essentially college football's postseason. So, Mr. Nick, can I have you introduce yourself just a little bit and let the viewers know who they're hearing from?
Of course, Abby. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely.
This time of year, I think I like to say it's actually every college football fan's time of year.
Oh yeah.
My executive director of bowl season. It's a pretty cool title. Who wouldn't want that as a job? I'm very, very fortunate. But yeah, I've worked in college athletics a long time. You know, everything I've done is kind of culminated in this job. You know, I've always been around the bowl. I was at Syracuse, I was at Notre Dame in football operations positions, and I went to bowl games in those capacities. I was the deputy commissioner of the Big East back in when Big East had football, and I used to negotiate contracts to send our teams to bowl games and provide them those opportunities. And now I oversee the system. So very lucky to have this job, and not a more exciting time of year. It's my favorite season. Second favorite. Summer's my favorite season. Bowl season's probably second.
Before I start asking you the logistics questions, I do want to know, what is your favorite part of your role?
God, there's so many cool parts to it. I mean, there's some laborious elements as well, like any job. But I think obviously it's this time of years themselves. Like, people ask me all the time, well, what do you do the rest of the year when it's not December, right? And obviously anybody involved in college athletics knows the games magically appear when they kick off. But obviously the games themselves, the bowl season itself, I think it's the reaction of the student athletes.
Yeah.
One, when they get their sixth win, no matter what type of program you are, if you aspire to be in the CFP, then getting your sixth win is a step along the way, right? So you celebrate that. If you're an up-and-coming program, maybe you haven't been in a few years, you get that sixth win. You know, it could be October, it could be the last game of the year. You don't know when it's going to happen. You're just hoping it happens, so you get that opportunity game, and to see the excitement that the student athletes have knowing they're going to a bowl game. I love that. But then I also love when they show up, community, the fun that they have participating in all the events that the bowl organizations put together for them, to showcase those communities that these student athletes are traveling to that they've probably never been to before, may never go to again, but they get to experience them all week. So I guess in general, the student athlete reaction and the lifelong memories that they're making during bowl season is what I like the most.
That's got to be extremely rewarding for you, for the entire staff. But can you explain the importance of these bowl games, or the significance, relevance of them?
Of course. I mean, they're important levels. I think in general, I think the bowl system has always been a little bit underrated in terms of its promotional value to college football in general, right? So imagine even if we have a playoff, which we do now, imagine if those were the only games, right?
Right.
It'd be such a void, all the dates and times in between. And when you think about it, at the end of every season, any team that's 500 or better earns the right to play one more game, and it's against they wouldn't normally schedule. It's in a location that they wouldn't normally play. And it gives the college football fans in those 40 communities of the country a chance to experience a level of college football that they might not be able to travel and see on a regular basis. So think about what the system does to cultivate the next generation of college football fans. And that's why I think it's underrated as a vehicle for the sport.
Absolutely. How does the selection process actually work?
Oh boy.
I know. If you could give me a summary, basically.
Yeah, well, obviously with the playoff, the 14 playoff now starting next year, those teams are slotted first, right? And then after the CFP teams are selected, it's really the contracts that the conferences have made with their various bowl partners. So every bowl has at least two different conferences to supply teams. Every conference has contracts with bowl games, kind of go down a pecking order based on the order of finish of the teams in that conference. So once the season's over, it's like a big puzzle. The SEC, for example, once their playoff teams are selected and the New Year's Six is full, the Citrus Bowl gets to pick the next team, right? Then there's a pool of teams that includes pool of bowl games. That includes the Music City Bowl, the ReliaQuest Bowl, and those kind of get filled until you get to the bottom of the pecking order. This year, the SEC has 9 bowl eligible teams. That's low for the SEC. You think that entered the year that we all thought would probably be bowl eligible, but are not. University of Florida, University of South Carolina, Arkansas. So there are some bowls kind of at the end of the SEC lineup that aren't going to have it in SEC this year. So they got to then scramble and pull a team from a conference that maybe had too many bowl eligible teams this year, right? It's like a big give and take, right? If the SEC doesn't have enough bowl eligible teams, maybe some non-conference teams beat them, and that conference has more bowl eligible teams than they thought they were gonna. But it all fits in the end. It's not the simplest process to explain, but it does add some drama on Selection Sunday, which is
indeed.
Next Sunday.
I know a lot of people are looking forward to that. I can't imagine the amount of work fitting puzzle pieces together. You can have that. We appreciate all y'all's hard work. I don't want to touch that. How do the records, though, actually matter? Do they actually matter when it comes to the bowl pairings and how you guys go about that? How much weight do the records hold?
The records do matter, but it's it's just one factor.
Okay.
Right? Here, and actually this week ongoing, there'll be conversations with the SEC leadership, for example, and their bowl partners to talk about, who's going to go to what bowl? The bowls have some selection rights, right? And they'll obviously factor in win-loss record. But if you take for example, after the CFP and the New Year's Six teams are selected, as I mentioned earlier, Citrus Bowl picks next. Well, might they want to pick most years? Yes, finishing at 9-3. But they were just in the Citrus Bowl last year, right? So maybe the Citrus Bowl would like a different team from the SEC. And conversely, maybe LSU would like a different bowl experience. So to go to the Music City Bowl in Nashville, or the Duke's Mayo Bowl in Charlotte, or the ReliaQuest Bowl in Tampa are all great games against great opponents in new destinations for the LSU student athletes and their fan bases. So there's a lot of that discussion. There's not any one factor that drives it,
right.
But record certainly is a factor for sure.
Joe, I know Joe had some great questions, and I'm going to open the floor to him just to give him the opportunity to ask them. Joe, I
hope they're as good as Abby's questions. I mean,
they might be better.
It's a lot of pressure.
They might be better.
Yeah. So last year for example, there's a lot of teams that played in bowl games that the records didn't necessarily match or weren't comparable. For example, Florida and Oregon State played, and I want to say that was a 6.5 point spread. So how much does favorability matter in choosing these bowl games?
Yeah, I think that's important for the bowl game and the conferences. I think everybody wants to maximize the matchup. Really good games. If the teams that just missed the CFP in an ideal world, you'd have the 13th and 14th ranked team play each other, right? And meaningful to them. Maybe they want to prove that they belonged in the system. It's kind of a launching point for the next season. We get really excited about that. Sometimes the conference contracts with the bowl games that I alluded to earlier don't match up, right? So I don't know it was a formidable enough opponent for LSU last year in the Citrus Bowl. You mentioned Oregon State was probably a little too much for Florida to handle in the bowl. So, people ask me all the time my opinion about the bowl selection process. I'd love in the next iteration to see a little bit more flexibility, right? I think you're going to always have conference relationships with specific bowl games, but maybe given the final standings, Vikings, maybe it makes sense to have a little bit more flexibility so you can maximize the matchups. And I think that everybody wins if you do that. The student athletes and the university and the fans will certainly be more excited to see a more compelling matchup.
Yeah. And you alluded to the fact earlier that there weren't many or weren't as many as normal 6-win teams who are now bowl eligible. Mm-hmm. Giving James Madison a bid. They're a one-loss team. They're 11-1, who originally were not able to play in the postseason, and now they get to play. So are we going to see them kind of in a lower-tier bowl, or are they going to find their way in a nice little matchup?
Well, it'll be interesting to see. The Sun Belt Conference has a relationship with many bowl games that are part of the ESPN event-operated games. And those games kind of vary in terms of the prestige of each of them. There's a lot of flexibility within that system, and has always done a good job of maximizing the matchups. If you remember several years ago, I think it was Coastal Carolina and Liberty both had seasons, right? So they played each other in a bowl game, and it was a great game. The television rating was pretty high. So I'm not sure where James may end up, but I'm pretty confident that the system will find a way to make it a compelling matchup.
Yeah.
Look, I got one more for you, and I'll let you roll out of here. Can you just explain, and I know this is a heavy task for you guys, but how y'all are adjusting to the 12-team playoff model?
Yeah, that's a good question. I get asked that question a lot, and I love being asked that question because it's an easy answer. I think the bowl system has changed with the playoff. We're forced to evolve, but we're still very, very meaningful to the sport of college.
Yeah.
It's 133 institutions that play at the FBS level. We have 4 teams in the playoff now. It's going to go to 12. That's still not enough opportunity. 121 of them to go home. You're going to tell LSU at 9-3 to go home.
Right.
You could go down the list. You're going to tell Florida, who was 6-6 this year, first bowl eligible year in 6 years. They're super excited. You're going to tell them, we don't care about you. So these bowl games are very, very meaningful. They have maybe a little bit of a different context, but they also provide great programming, right? You're going to have another round of the playoffs. You get to enjoy all these great bowl matchups on the days in between that lead up to these bowl games. Gives the TV networks an opportunity to promote the playoff games to a captive audience of college football fans. And the television ratings for these bowl games still prove out to be to prove that they're very, very popular. You take the same matchup in the regular season and you call it a bowl game, and on a Wednesday night between Christmas and New Year, you get 2 to 3 times the viewers. It's almost improbable that that's the case, but it is the case, and it really tells us.
Well, that was a great answer. Honestly, thank you for coming on here to kind of share that perspective, because I think it is overlooked, and people see the bowl games. We're not in the playoffs. We're not going to a championship game. Who cares? And I think your perspective on that, and kind of alluding to LSU, like they're not going to make the playoffs, and you're talking about giving them another game, that they don't have to just go home after a 9-3 season. And I think that perspective on bowl season and how these bowl games work and the relevance and the importance of them, you've given a great perspective of that. And I hope everybody watching this kind of has their wheels going on, oh wait, I didn't realize how important these bowl games were. Again,
yeah, I think I think everything I just said, I think if somebody wants to say, well, what's the purpose of these bowl games? I think everybody just needs to take it. You know what? Sometimes it's okay if a bowl game doesn't factor into the national championship equation. Yeah. It can still be meaningful.
Right. Athletes
and the universities who participate in them, based on who they are, the type of season they've had, and the point that they are in their development.
Yeah, for sure. Wow, this was great. Joe, you got anything else for him? I saw him. Look, he's over there. Wants to pick your brain.
No. Look, the only thing I have left is, just in terms of meaningfulness of the bowl games, especially as somebody covering LSU, it's incredibly meaningful because
Yeah.
Malik Neighbors has the opportunity to break the record in this game that he would not if he didn't get that 13th game. So yeah, I'm with you.
It's things like that I think just kind of reiterate the importance and the significance of these bowl games. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us today. I know we were trying to figure out the technical stuff before, and there's a little bit of a lag, but this was awesome. Got some great insight that we really appreciate so much.
Well, thank you guys for having me on, and good luck to you. Good luck to LSU in the bowl game. Can't wait to see where they end up.
Me too.
And
me too.
hopefully we'll chat again down the road.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Take care.
All right, y'all. That was sick. That was super cool to get that insight on today's show. Again, he kind of mentioned that we are just a week out from Selection Sunday. We're going to know who LSU is going to be playing and what bowl game just within the week. And you brought up a point at the end of that interview. I still have these on. Sorry, guys. That actually I did want to talk about today.
Yeah.
Kyron Lacey talked to the media after the game and voiced that he was very upset about his holding call because that call kept Malik Neighbors from breaking the school record for receiving yards, correct?
Yeah.
Which, two things here, two storylines. One, now that we've just talked to the executive director of bowl season, Nick Carparelli, and he shares this insight of, I'll be honest with you, I don't get too excited about bowl games because they don't mean anything. They do. And he just shared that perspective. We've got a scenario right here at LSU right now where Malik Neighbors is going to partake in the bowl game because he wants to break that record. If they didn't have the whole system or bowl season didn't do what they do, he would not have that opportunity. It would be done. He wouldn't break the record. And I know that's something he's very passionate about. So that's one storyline there. Two, the chemistry, especially between the receivers, for Kyron Lacey to be so, and I don't want to say it's a good thing that he was so upset, but he felt so bad that he took that from Malik Neighbors. And I think that just kind of shows you the chemistry and the way that this team cares about each other, the way they support each other and they want others to get the awards and the acknowledgments and stuff. Again, Malik will have the opportunity to do that in the bowl game, but Kyron Lacey did he was upset. He was upset that he had that holding call, which really didn't need to happen. It was kind of one of those silly mistakes. But yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up during the interview. The other topic that I want to talk about with football is the same topic that is all over the freaking internet and all of the media outlets right now. Mm-hmm. Jayden, I was about to curse. Jayden Daniels.
Say it.
No, I'm not saying it. Jayden Daniels.
If there was ever a worthy time, it would be now.
Yeah. God, you're gonna get me in trouble. My mom watches the show. I'm not gonna do it. LSU football has literally launched a website now to promote his Heisman campaign. It's called thatkidjayden.com. It launched this morning. It is insane. And I had a screenshot. I forgot to send it to you. But if you go to the website, it is the coolest setup. And it is fully just, here are all of the different stats, all of the different reasons why he should win. They've got, all the stats that he leads the nation in, all of his quarterback stats, all of the pass efficiency, everything you want to know about Jayden Daniels and his numbers is on that page. But not only that, they even go into his character, and they're releasing a four-part docuseries on Jayden Daniels and who he is on and off the field. So they are pushing for this, and I think LSU has done a great job at promoting his candidacy because it is absolutely insane and ridiculous that this is still up for discussion. The numbers, we talked about earlier that I think the past 11 Heisman, if you compare Jayden to the past however many Heisman, he would beat them out.
Yeah.
And we're still having conversations on whether he should win the award.
Not even having conversations. Like, Bo Nix is favored now.
That is ridiculous. Look, they'll be playing this weekend. Jayden's not going to play this weekend. But I think within the past 3-4 games, he has just continued to put a period behind this statement that Jayden Daniels should be Heisman. Period.
Yeah.
Period. It is unreal to me. You look at him, and look, we look at Joe Burrow as like the second coming here in Baton Rouge, right? It is Joe Burrow. He is untouchable. Hate to break it to y'all, but if you look at the numbers, Jayden Daniels got him beat out. And we love Joey B. We do. We stand Joey B. But the numbers, Jayden Daniels' numbers are better than Joe Burrow's numbers. What else needs to be said? What else needs to be communicated for everyone to be like, holy cow, yeah, he's the Heisman and it's not even close. You said it. We put out a really cool hype video that Joe made. Joe killed it. It's on Twitter. It's got all kinds of engagement. But, I mean, you captioned it that way. It's not even close.
Yeah. I don't know if you read the description for that video, but in the description, I stated the case as to why he should be the Heisman.
Well, why don't you give the people what they need to hear?
Yeah. So Jayden Daniels is number one amongst college football quarterbacks, including Bo Nix and Michael Penix Jr., by the way, in passing efficiency, passing touchdowns, and points responsible for. He's also third in passing yards. He completed 15 passing touchdowns to Brian Thomas Jr., making him the leading receiving touchdown in the nation. 14 to Malik Neighbors, making him the second leading receiving touchdown receiver in the nation. Both receivers crossed 1,000 yards, so that's insane. Malik Neighbors leading the entire nation with 1,546 yards. Hey, Jayden threw all the passes to him. Like, that is to one, be first in all of those categories and have the top 2 touchdown receivers in the nation and the leading receiver, period. Unbelievable.
Bring up the stat that with Bo Nix and Jayden Daniels and the 20-plus.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I've got plenty more.
I know you do.
You do. I'll jump straight to that. So going into week 13, Jayden Daniels had 20 touchdowns of 20 or more passing yards. The explosive plays is what you call them. He had 20 touchdowns on explosive plays. Bo Nix had 17 completions of balls 20 yards or more in the air. That's not close.
It's comical at this point. It really is.
And
it's comical.
And look, Bo Nix is great. I'm not using this time to crap all over Bo Nix. That's not the case. The point is Jayden deserves it, and if we need to pull stats, we'll do so.
That and the level of competition.
Yeah.
Bo Nix couldn't swing it in the SEC. Sorry, he couldn't. Jayden Daniels is doing what he's doing with a defense that really did everything they could to keep him out of this Heisman conversation. No offense, but I mean, Matt House is a whole different story. I'm not going there today.
And really, if we want to go here, we can say Bo Nix already got an award he shouldn't have got back in 2019 when he beat out Derek Stingley for SEC Freshman of the Year, which was ridiculous at that time.
I'm tired of having the same conversation. We have it every week. Everyone has it every week. It's not even just the LSU fan base now. It is like analysts and other college football fans who have no ties to LSU that are like, hey, it's pretty obvious, like, we're behind him too.
Yeah.
So all this to say, there is a tab on this website where you can vote. There is a tab where you can vote. It says vote now, vote for Jayden now, or whatever, and it's got all of the Heisman options. Like, you cannot vote for Jayden. You can go vote for somebody else, but you can vote for Jayden every day. I voted this morning. You voted this morning. I'm going to push it in y'all's face, so y'all just have to go vote, because if he doesn't win, I think there might be an uproar. There really might.
Yeah, it would be blasphemous to college football.
There's going to be a lot of pissed off people, not LSU fans, but people who are big college football fans who know what the Heisman Award is, who know who lines up with it, are going to be PO'd because it's not being correctly awarded.
Yeah, it loses its meaning, period.
So if you're not going to follow what the Heisman is for and not give it to the person who lines up with every characteristic of the award, what the hell's the point? What the hell's the point? You want to talk about another award that might not go to the right person? Malik Neighbors is up for the Biletnikoff. Who's the favorite right now?
Marvin Harrison Jr.'s name is being mentioned in the Heisman conversation. Now, he doesn't have a real shot, but he's one of the 5 names.
Yeah, I know his name's in there.
Yeah, Malik Neighbors leads the nation in receiving yards, and he's second in the nation behind only Brian Thomas Jr. in receiving touchdowns. So what are we doing? There's an argument for Troy Franklin from Oregon, not Marvin Harrison Jr.
That's my thing. Why they're both in both situations, somebody is favored above our LSU guys, and maybe I'm being biased, but I don't think I am. And it doesn't play out. The numbers don't make sense.
I don't think the Heisman is close. I think Jayden should win that in a landslide. There's no reason that should even be close. But the receiver situation, Statistically, Malik's had the better year, but if it goes to either Malik or Troy Franklin, I think I'd be okay with that because they both had amazing seasons.
Is Troy Franklin favored over Malik?
No.
Then that's not my issue.
Yeah.
My issue, again, is that the guys that are favored over our LSU guys do not line up with the awards. They're not the front runners, and yet they are.
Yeah.
That's my issue.
I was trying to make that point to say that I'm not being entirely biased. Like there are guys that can be mentioned.
If there's somebody else that earns it or can be argued, then by all means.
Yeah.
But you can't argue these points right now for Bo Nix. We've had people. Don't y'all worry. We've had people come at us already.
Well, let's just jump out in front of it. Because the number one argument I get from everybody, anybody who disagrees that Jayden Daniels should win the Heisman, their number one argument is, well, he has 3 losses. Okay, let's talk about it. Can we talk about it?
So angry.
Can we talk about it?
Yeah.
You look at the Florida State loss. He had 400 total yards. You look at the Ole Miss loss. 600 total yards of offense. You look at the Alabama loss. He had 389 yards of offense and rushed for over 100 yards. So if you want to point to the losses, let's look at the game that Jayden played in those 3, which, by the way, Jayden didn't play in the fourth quarter versus Alabama because he got injured. Still put up 380 yards. So if you want to talk about the 3 losses, let's talk about his performance in those losses, and then we can pretty much conclude he didn't lose those games.
Right. I know that is the most frustrating argument from people of the team losses. The team losses. I had somebody this morning. Well, he can't be the best player in college football if he can't get his team to the playoff. You know what? We're not even going to acknowledge that one because you know the status of our defense, and I'm not going there. That is not the premise of the Heisman. It's not. Anyway. I'm fired up. I really just today. It's Monday. We're gonna have a good week. I'm not coming out hot this week. Yeah, but that's the season's over. You finished with a win over Texas A&M, 42-30. I will say that some Brian Kelly press conferences have sparked a lot of conversation about the defense, about what needs to change before next season. And unfortunately, for some people, they're not going to be happy to hear that Brian Kelly has no plans of parting ways with Matt House, which I'm not in the room. I'm not a coach. I can't speak from that perspective. But I am going to say if things don't change drastically next season, a lot of people are going to be on a hot seat. There's going to be a pissed off fan base. There already is. But, if we go a whole nother year doing the same thing that we did this year because we kept the same defensive coordinator, there are going to be a lot of PO'd people. What are you looking at me for? Joe's making faces. Of course you can't see him because he's not on camera.
You're wearing that desk out.
I know. I'm sorry. Y'all can probably hear me hitting it. Let me put my hands in my lap. My mom used to tell me to do that. But, yeah, I think – look, you are the head coach. You know this staff. You know this team. I have no grounds to speak here. Yeah. However, as somebody that watches college football, loves this team, covers this team, if you don't make the changes, you're going to have to deal with the repercussions. Yeah.
I think I don't wish any ill will towards Matt House, obviously.
No.
And I recognize that he was a linebacker coach for the Kansas City Chiefs under Andy Reid. I got respect for that. Andy Reid's one of the best coaches in the NFL. If Andy Reid trusted him, I feel like it's okay if I trust him.
Right.
Now, that being said, losing Corey Raymond a couple years back to Florida really hurt your secondary. And right now, that is the one point that's the start of your problems on defense, right?
Right.
You have a struggling secondary, and all of a sudden you have to start dropping linebackers 15, 20 yards into coverage. Well, now you don't have a solid front 7 anymore because you have to try and make up for the secondary. So look, at the end of the day, I think Matt House can be a good defensive coordinator, but he's got to make the right staff hires. And if he doesn't, then it's on him.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying the change that needs to be made is to get rid of Matt House. I know a lot of people are calling for his job, but I'm not saying that's the answer. Something has to change, whether it's personnel,
100%.
Whether it's staff, whether it's scheme. I don't know what it is, but what happened this season cannot happen again. Not just because you want to avoid the backlash from the fan base and the coaching talk and the rumors all freaking season, but for the legacy of what LSU is supposed to be, DBU, can we figure something out to try to get back to that level? Because again, this team, this offense specifically, should be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
If your defense is the thing holding them back from that, and you're not headed to the SEC championship, let's take a step back, do some reflecting during the offseason, put the pieces together, remove the things that weren't working, and come back better for the sake of the LSU legacy and the DBU idea.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. I'll shut up with the football talk today. We're going to have a lot more coming at y'all Thursday and Friday. Oh, my gosh. We don't have a game preview on Friday. What are we going to do?
What do you mean? We're going to talk about all the other sports killing it right now.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
We so are. Speaking of, women's basketball went to the Cayman Islands this weekend. Saw some social pictures with Kim Mulkey and the girls on a boat in some crystal clear blue water. I don't know if they were feeding fish or sharks or something. I don't know. Whatever. They looked like they were having a grand time, and it didn't distract them because they did have a successful weekend. They dominated Niagara 99-65. That was their first game in the Cayman Islands Classic on Friday. Now, Samaya Smith went down early with a lower leg injury. It didn't seem to be too serious, but she did not come back to the game that day. She should still be okay. And then they played Virginia, and that was a close one. And Aneesah Morrow just came out, popped off. She transferred from DePaul, and last year I believe she averaged 25.7 points per game. Baby girl racked up 37 this weekend in that one game. So she really showed up, and she's filling in for Angel Reese right now. Now, I'm going to throw it out there. We know stuff is going on. Angel's not with the team right now. She did not travel to the Cayman Islands. But I'm not going to speculate on what's going on. Kim Mulkey has shut it down. She said all you need to know is that we've got it handled. And I'm going to take her word for that and continue to cover the sports side of things. So, yes, Aneesah Morrow filled in for Angel Reese and absolutely just went ham, went crazy. Love to see it. They are now 7-1, and they'll face Virginia Tech on Thursday in the PMAC. We will be there. They seem like they're starting to kind of figure out a little bit more chemistry. Still got clearly got some things to work out, some kinks to work out, but I think we're getting closer to seeing this team mesh and kind of figure out a rhythm rather than just throwing all kinds of stars on the court and at the beginning of the season, clearly seeing that they have some work to do. The chemistry's coming along. 7-1. Men's basketball, also kind of in the same boat here, figuring it out. You lost Jalen Carter. NCAA just said absolutely not. He's not playing this year. It's whack, but what? Again, Joe's making faces. He doesn't want to show y'all what.
I was trying to give you a heads up behind the camera on purpose. Jalen Cook.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, time out. Go ahead. Am I good?
Yeah.
My mic's hot?
No.
I thought you turned my mic off. You turned yours on.
Yeah.
Guys, I just called Jalen Cook Jalen Carter. Excuse me. Long weekend.
And then
kicking my
I got
butt
dragged
right
through
now.
the mud for trying to help her out. That was crazy.
Yeah, well, I didn't know what you were trying to say. Just say it. We're transparent here. I accidentally said the wrong name. It happens. My mind's elsewhere. But yeah, you lost Jalen Cook at the beginning of the season. That kind of threw things out of whack. They came up. We saw some close losses to teams they probably shouldn't have lost to, trying to figure out the chemistry thing. But they are now coming off their third consecutive win. They played North Florida on Friday in the PMAC. They won. The defense absolutely stepped up. They had 7 blocks and 20 rebounds in the first half. They ended up finishing with 10 steals and 14 turnovers. So the defense definitely making some leeway, some headway. They look a lot better than they did a couple weeks ago because there were concerns. I remember watching that Nichols game and being like, holy hell, I have no clue what's going on. The basketball team is not in the PMAC right now. And Coach Matt McMahon was not happy about it. That's the presser. He slammed the desk and everything. Passionate. We love it. We love to see that. But they've come a long way. They are now 4-2, and they will play Syracuse tomorrow, which is Tuesday. On the road, they'll be back in the PMAC on Friday. We will also be there. Do want to shout out volleyball. They didn't have the best end to their season. Remember the last time we talked about them, they had 4 games left. Didn't do too hot. They ended up losing that last one and the one before that. But finished the season 11-17. Lots of work to be done during the off season. It wasn't as promising or as successful of a season that they thought they were going to have. But these things happen. You can't be a powerhouse every year in every sport. So they're going to go back to the drawing board, figure out how they can use the weapons they do have, fix the net play, fix the errors, come up with a new game plan, maybe bring in some new players. That's about all we have today. The focus of this one was definitely that interview. So I don't have Tiger Tea for y'all today. I'll have Tiger Tea Thursday. I promise I will have Tiger Tea on Thursday. Wednesday, our last final vlog will be dropping. It's a different one. Because of that 11 a.m. kickoff, we ended up doing the vlog after the game, kind of getting people's thoughts on the season as a whole. Jayden Daniels Heisman contention, conspiracy, whatever you want to call it. Got some great content that will be hitting y'all's line on Wednesday. Make sure to check out some of our other stuff. We've got some super exciting things going on with our other shows. 10-Second Runoff, again, now is the time to check out Joe's show, 10-Second Runoff. You're going into Selection Sunday. You've got championships coming up. There's going to be a lot of great insight there. He goes live Sundays and Wednesdays at 8:30, I believe, right? 8:30. Y'all check him out. He's great. His new friend, Brogan. His new host, Brogan, is great. They definitely pair well together. So if you're a college football fan, that is the place to be. They are very transparent, no bias. We know Joe's an LSU fan, but he doesn't act that way on the show. TKN, also our girls are so close to locking in their spot for the 2024 Paris Olympics. Taryn Cloth, Kristen Nuss, 2 former LSU beach volleyball players, now taking the beach volleyball professional world by storm. Like I said, on their way to the Olympics, they host a podcast with us. Their next episode will be dropping on Thursday, so make sure to check them out. Anthony's got some cool stuff planned with Up and In, working on maybe our first live show next week with a very prominent reality TV star. Waiting on some yeses and some we're okay to go. But it's in the works. We're working on it, so that's a maybe. But check out all of our shows. We've got great content coming at you from all different directions. We've got something for everybody. If you're an LSU sports fan, you're in the right place. Stick around. We'll be back on Thursday at 12:30 and Friday at 11:30. We appreciate y'all. We will see y'all soon.